Hello and welcome back to the show. Today, we're diving into the performance of a household name in India, Marico Limited. They're a major player in the FMCG space, known for brands like Parachute, Saffola, Hair and Care, and newer digital-first brands like Beardo and Plix.
That's right. Marico operates in the beauty and wellness categories, not just in India, but also in key markets across Asia and Africa, including Bangladesh, MENA, and South Africa. So, a pretty significant footprint.
And they've just released their audited financial results for the fourth quarter, and the full financial year ended March 31st, 2025. The board approved these results on May 2nd, 2025. We've got both the consolidated and standalone figures here, so let's unpack them. Kick us off with the consolidated top line. How did the revenue from operations look for Q4?
Okay, starting with the consolidated numbers for the fourth quarter of financial year 25. Revenue from operations came in at 2,730 crore rupees. Comparing that year over year to the fourth quarter of financial year 24, which was 2,278 crore rupees, that's a strong increase of 20%.
Wow, 20% year-over-year growth in Q4 is quite impressive. How did that compare sequentially, quarter-over-quarter, against Q3 of financial year 25?
Good question. Sequentially, it was actually a slight dip. Q3 revenue was 2,794 crore rupees, so Q4 revenue of 2,730 crore rupees represents a decrease of about 2.3% quarter-over-quarter.
Okay, so strong annual growth in the quarter, but a slight slowdown from the immediately preceding quarter. What about profitability? Let's look at EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization.
Right, looking at consolidated EBITDA for Q4 financial year 25, it stood at 458 crore rupees. Year over year, this is up 4% compared to 442 crore rupees in Q4 of financial year 24.
Only 4% growth in EBITDA year over year despite a 20% revenue jump, that suggests some margin pressure. How did the Q4 EBITDA look compared to Q3?
Exactly, the margin pressure is evident. Quarter over quarter, the EBITDA saw a more significant drop. Q3 financial year 25 EBITDA was around 534 crore rupees, so the Q4 figure of 458 crore rupees is down quite a bit, roughly 14% sequentially.
Okay, that confirms the margin squeeze in Q4. Let's look further down the line at profit before tax or PBT. How were those numbers consolidated?
Consolidated profit before tax for Q4 was 441 crore rupees. Year over year, that's up 11% from 399 crore rupees in Q4 last year.
And quarter over quarter for PBT?
Sequentially, PBT was also down. Compared to 518 crore rupees in Q3, the Q4 PBT of 441 crore rupees is lower by about 15% quarter over quarter.
Following the trend. Now for the bottom line, profit after tax or PAT.
Consolidated profit after tax for Q4 financial year 25 was 343 crore rupees. This is up 8% year over year from 318 crore rupees.
And the quarter over quarter PAT comparison?
Consistent with the other metrics, PAT also decreased sequentially. It was down about 15.5% from the 406 crore rupees reported in Q3 financial year 25.
Got it. And how did all this translate into earnings per share or EPS?
The consolidated basic EPS for Q4 came in at 2.65 rupees. Year over year, this is up from 2.46 rupees. Sequentially, however, it's down from the 3.08 rupees reported in Q3.
Okay, so a consistent theme in Q4, strong year-over-year revenue growth but profit growth lagging, indicating margin pressure, and a noticeable sequential decline in both revenue and profits compared to Q3. What about other income? Did that play a significant role?
Yes, other income was notable. For Q4 consolidated, it was 47 crore rupees, a significant jump from just 15 crore rupees in Q4 last year. Sequentially, it was also up from 42 crore rupees in Q3.
Now, since we have the full year numbers as well, can you quickly summarize the consolidated performance for the entire financial year 25 compared to financial year 24?
Certainly. For the full financial year 25, consolidated revenue was 10,831 crore rupees, up 12% year over year. EBITDA was 2,139 crore rupees, up 6% year over year. PBT came in at 2,116 crore rupees, up 9% year over year. and the reported profit after tax was 1,629 crore rupees, up 10% year-over-year. Basic EPS for the year was 12.59 rupees compared to 11.46 rupees last year. So the full year shows decent growth, though profit growth still lagged revenue growth slightly, indicating margin pressure over the full year as well, not just Q4.
Now let's switch to these standalone results, focusing just on Marico's core India operations primarily. How did the standalone revenue look for Q4?
Standalone revenue for Q4 financial year 25 was 1,870 crore rupees. That's up 14% year-over-year compared to 1,637 crore rupees. Sequentially though, it was down about 4.8% from 1,965 crore rupees in Q3.
Okay, similar pattern to consolidated. What about standalone PBT and PAT for Q4?
Standalone PBT for Q4 was 418 crore rupees, a strong 44% increase year-over-year from 291 crore rupees. However, quarter-over-quarter, it was down around 7% from 451 crore rupees in Q3. Standalone PAT for Q4 was 325 crore rupees, up 42% year-over-year from 229 crore rupees, but down about 13.6% sequentially from 376 crore rupees in Q3.
And the standalone other income in Q4? You mentioned the consolidated figure jumped.
The standalone other income saw a massive jump in Q4. It was 149 crore rupees compared to just 28 crore rupees in Q4 last year. Sequentially, it was also up from 122 crore rupees in Q3. This large standalone other income figure very likely includes substantial dividends received from its subsidiaries during the quarter.
That makes sense. And the full year standalone performance summary?
For the full financial year 25, standalone revenue was 7,581 crore rupees, up 8% year-over-year. PBT was 1,894 crore rupees, up a very strong 35%. PAT was 1,541 crore rupees, up an impressive 43% year-over-year. And the standalone other income for the full year was 591 crore rupees compared to just 135 crore rupees in financial year 24, again highlighting the significant contribution from subsidiary dividends to the standalone bottom line.
So standalone profit growth significantly outpaced revenue growth for the full year, largely boosted by that other income. Let's talk profitability insights. What happened with margins, consolidated versus standalone?
Consolidated EBITDA margin for Q4 was 16.8%, down significantly from 19.4% last year and 19.1% in Q3. For the full year, the consolidated EBITDA margin was 19.7%, down from 21% in financial year 24. This pressure seems driven by rising input costs, particularly copra and vegetable oils, which the company mentioned, although they did take price hikes. Standalone margins, while likely better due to the core India business nature and subsidiary dividends, also likely felt input cost pressure, but the huge other income component boosted the PBT and PAT margins significantly year-over-year on the standalone side.
Were there any exceptional items affecting either set of results?
No, the results appear clean. There were no exceptional items reported in either the consolidated or standalone profit and loss statements for the quarter or the full year.
Let's touch upon the balance sheet. Any key highlights from the consolidated or standalone side?
On the consolidated side, as of March 31, 2025, total assets stood at 8,338 crore rupees, with total equity at 4,266 crore rupees. Goodwill was significant at 857 crore rupees. On the standalone side, total assets were 6,038 crore rupees, and interestingly, total equity was higher than consolidated at 4,763 crore rupees.
Wait, standalone equity higher than consolidated? How does that work?
That often happens in holding company structures. When consolidating the investment, the parent company, Marico Standalone, holds in its subsidiaries, is eliminated against the equity of those subsidiaries. Since Marico's subsidiaries are profitable and have built up reserves, the carrying value of Marico's investment in them on its standalone books can be less than the actual net assets, equity, of those subsidiaries shown on the consolidated balance sheet. So eliminating this difference can result in lower consolidated equity compared to the parent's standalone equity.
Interesting nuance. What about cash flow and dividends?
The report provides a consolidated cash flow statement. For financial year 25, cash generated from operations before tax was 1,926 crore rupees, slightly up from last year. Net cash used in investing activities was 621 crore rupees, mainly due to investments compared to an inflow last year. Net cash used in financing activities was 649 crore rupees, significantly lower than the 1,542 crore rupees outflow last year, which was likely due to higher dividend payouts in financial year 24. The net increase in cash for financial year 25 was 93 crore rupees. Importantly, the board recommended a final dividend of 7 rupees per share. Including the interim dividend of 3.50 rupees, the total dividend for financial year 25 amounts to 10.50 rupees per share, subject to shareholder approval.
Okay, let's break down the business segments, India versus international. How did they perform?
Looking at the consolidated segment results for Q4, the India segment generated revenue of 2,068 crore rupees, up 23% year-over-year, and reported a profit before interest and tax (PBIT) of 322 crore rupees. The international segment had Q4 revenue of 662 crore rupees, up 11% year-over-year in rupee terms, translating to a strong 16% constant currency growth. International PBIT for Q4 was 159 crore rupees.
So both segments grew well in Q4 revenue terms. What about the full year?
For the full financial year 25, India revenue was 8,110 crore rupees, up 14% year-over-year, with a PBIT of 1,550 crore rupees. International revenue was 2,721 crore rupees, up 8% year-over-year in rupee terms, 14% in constant currency, with a PBIT of 711 crore rupees. The presentation highlighted that India saw 7% volume growth in Q4 and 5% for the full year. International growth was particularly strong in MENA and South Africa, while Vietnam was a bit sluggish.
That gives good color. Summarizing the overall performance, what's the story?
The story for financial year 25, especially Q4, is one of resilient revenue growth, particularly volume-led growth in India and strong constant currency growth internationally. This was achieved despite significant input cost inflation. Copra prices up 48% year-over-year. Price hikes helped offset some costs, but clearly impacted margins, especially in Q4 and sequentially. The diversification into foods, crossing 900 crore rupees, and premium personal care digital-first brands, reaching 750 crore rupees ARR, seems to be paying off, contributing significantly to growth. Standalone results were heavily boosted by dividends from profitable subsidiaries.
You mentioned input costs and diversification. Any other significant notes or events from the reports?
Yes, the company highlighted Project Setu, aimed at expanding direct reach in general trade, which is progressing well. They also noted acquisitions like Plix and completing the Just Herbs acquisition, which affects comparability slightly. The raw material situation, especially copra, remains a key monitorable. They also detailed the auditor appointments and the continuation of Mr. Harsh Mariwala's directorship. And of course, the final dividend recommendation.
Now, crucially, the auditor's report. Were there any red flags, qualifications, or emphasis of matter in either the standalone or consolidated reports?
We looked at the reports from BSR and Company, LLP, for both standalone and consolidated results. The good news is that both reports carry an unmodified opinion. This means the auditors found the financial statements to present a true and fair view in accordance with accounting standards. There were no qualifications, adverse opinions, or emphasis of matter paragraphs highlighted. The reports do contain standard wording about relying on the audits of subsidiaries conducted by other auditors for consolidated and including the financials of the Employee Welfare Trust for standalone. But these are procedural and don't detract from the clean opinion.
That's a positive sign. Clean opinions from the auditors on both sets of accounts. So pulling it all together, what's the outlook for Marico based on these results?
Management seems cautiously optimistic. They expect a gradual improvement in overall consumption aided by moderating inflation and potentially a good monsoon. They are sticking to their aspiration for double-digit revenue growth in the medium term, banking on consistent performance in core portfolios and accelerated growth in foods, premium personal care, and digital brands. Project Setu and international premiumization are also key growth levers. Near-term margin pressure from input costs is acknowledged, but they expect margins to inch up over the medium term through operating leverage and portfolio premiumization. Key risks remain commodity price volatility and the overall consumer demand environment. Disclaimer: as always, this discussion is for informational purposes only. Investors should consult with certified financial advisors before making any investment decisions.
So wrapping up, Marico delivered strong revenue growth in Q4 and the full year 25, showcasing resilience and successful diversification. However, significant input cost pressures squeezed margins, particularly in Q4 and sequentially. The standalone profits got a major boost from subsidiary dividends. Encouragingly, the auditor reports are clean. The outlook is positive, but hinges on managing costs and sustaining growth momentum in both core and new categories.
Exactly. A solid performance navigating a challenging cost environment, with strategic bets appearing to gain traction. Definitely a company to keep watching in the FMCG space.
Thanks for those insights, and thank you all for tuning in. Join us next time for another deep dive into the world of finance.